Hi everyone, we're really excited to be taking part in this webinar as part of the V-EXPO at Blooloop. We are Katapult, we design themed attractions and experiences globally. My name's Dawn Foote and I'm CEO of Katapult, and this is...
Hello, I'm Phil Higgins, I'm Chief Creative Officer here at Katapult.
And today we're going to talk to you about how we use VR in our design process. We've actually created an experience which demonstrates some of our projects. We call it the Woodland of Wow. We created it in VR, and it's an experience where we can take you through and talk you through how our approach works with IPs that we work with as part of our design process, working with designers and vendors, and also when working with pitching projects and working with investors so they can see the creative vision of a project. So we're going to start by Phil taking us into the VR headset, and we're going to walk through some different projects and talk to you a little bit more detail about how we've used VR. So Phil's now in our Woodland of Wow, having a look around. As you say, we created this so we could give people a bit of a tour of different projects we've worked on within our own VR environment. So just having a look around the Woodland and Wow, and Phil's going to take you into one of our projects. If we start, Phil, with maybe follow the Lego minifigure. This is within a project we did with Legoland Discovery Centres, where we did event kits that got rolled out across 21 sites globally. And as part of the design process, we created the event kits in 3D. And we were able to show sites what these were going to look like, how they were configured in the different spaces, because in each of the Discovery Centres there was different spaces which the event kits would sit. So this was a great way to demonstrate to sites, and also working with the client and the IP, how the kits would look in the spaces and how they would work. Another good thing that we did at this was we were able to test and see that everything worked for different height levels of the children that we were targeting the experience for. So we were able just to test that and put the camera at child height level and really just check how that looks like and what things worked like from different eye lines and different configurations and room setups. So yeah, it really helped with the design process in terms of sign off as well. Some stop motion tables there.
Yeah, so this represents the Cartoon Network FEC, which is currently being developed and built out in Kuwait. We can't actually go in due to NDA, but you can see there's references to the Rust Bucket from Ben 10, and over here we've got reference to a interactive DAO ride for Adventure Time, which we've designed and developed. So we started using VR within our design process probably about 3 years ago now. We started implementing it. And we started sort of trialing and testing to see what we could do with the technology. And we've got a great team of kind of 3D designers in-house. We've always been interested in VR and how we can utilize it to create environments and kind of really kind of help push that the creative development throughout the whole design process. So from an early stage, from a concept perspective, right through to design development and really pushing the sort of the creative standards and creative process. So with the Cartoon Network project, it's probably the first project that we literally implemented it from the beginning. And after being appointed, one of the first things we did after the kickoff meeting out in Kuwait with the client was we gave them a headset. And we also gave Cartoon Network a headset. So ultimately, from the offset of the project, as we developed and as we started mapping out the sort of creative design, they can see the development almost in real time, rather than sending over every week or every 2 weeks the kind of a flat design development. They can literally put the headset on We can talk them through the developments and some of the design changes that we've had through the various development meetings, and we began to realise how powerful this tool could be.
Yeah, and how we work with the tool. And I think what was really interesting is that because the site itself was quite an awkward site in the sense that it had low ceilings in certain parts, we really had to consider how things would work and not work. And what was really fascinating was that how we could use a tool to solve creative problems. And also push forward creative ideas that might have been hard to visualise, or not visualise, but understand from the impact that creative solution would have. So when we were able to demonstrate it in the actual venue, and you could stand there and see what it is we were trying to execute, we really pushed ideas forward that may have not otherwise happened, so they couldn't quite understand what it was and how it might work. And then when you showed it in context, they were like, oh, absolutely, they're great. And I think also working alongside vendors and partners on the project as well, and showcasing to them how things should look and feel, and that kind of design aesthetic. We really helped communicate that overall vision. So from the start of the project on the creative concepting through to the detailing and that creative vision, and making sure that was seen and protecting that IP, and making sure that what was signed off and what was created becomes a reality. We could manage that really, really closely through the whole process in a very creative way. And as I say, all the different partners and vendors, stakeholders, IP and client on the ground could see these iterations and could understand why these decisions were being made, and it really streamlined the process, and push things creatively as well, which was great. And it's been a really good tool for us and something that we implement in all our projects.
I think it's interesting that traditionally, we before we kind of use this tool, we would create a lovely concept from the best perspective, because you try and make it look good. But actually, using VR, it can be quite unforgiving, because we put the camera where people will go, but might not necessarily look good. So suddenly we see things from a totally different perspective, and it makes you think about how to kind of really world build and make sure that when we're creating an immersive design and experience, that it is fully immersive, doesn't matter where you are. So also with the Cartier Network project, as well as designing the FEC, and eventually it will be great to show, and we'll kind of showcase the full kind of tour once it's released, and we can. But once you see it, you'll realise everything's in there: the rides, the signage, the floor graphics, the F&B, skills games, every little detail, and it really allows you to kind of go through the experience before it's even built. Obviously hugely helpful in terms of pushing creative ideas, creative sign-off, but also allows contractors and vendors to kind of see potential issues before they're kind of built and on site. So in terms of time saving, cost saving, and also kind of allowing people to step into our vision and actually, rather than trying to explain what the creative intent is, put the headset on, have a look and see it. And although we've done the whole FEC, one thing we have done, we've developed a dark ride for Adventure Time. I think that, again, can't show you, but we know, and we've kind of experienced in using kind of previs for showing kind of ride fly-throughs and understanding timings and content and things. But through this, we were able to utilise the VR to do that, but to a kind of an extended level. So from a content perspective, Cartier Network can see exactly what's happening when. You can literally kind of sit in the ride vehicle and go through scene to scene. So again, something that we're kind of going to utilise a lot further within our kind of ride design, and something that we're kind of pushing in terms of how we can again develop it further in terms of using real time as well, so that we can be have the headset on whilst talking to a client in another country somewhere, and actually we can kind of change materials, move things around, and actually kind of really kind of create and design that environment in a live environment.
And from an IP perspective, how did they see the benefits of working in this way? It's
kind of a game changer, really.
Yeah.
And I think people kind of often see VR as an experience, and it absolutely is an experience, but it's not a kind of consumer-facing experience. It's an experience in terms of enabling people to understand that vision and be part of that development. And like you said, pushing ideas, testing things that maybe might not be agreed to at first, but if as ultimately we're creative artists, we're trying to kind of really push the envelope in terms of what we design. So for us to be able to allow people to see and look around the ideas, it kind of really helps push things.
And just from my observation is that the feedback we've had from working with the IPs is how much they've enjoyed it working with us in this way, because it's really helped articulate what their vision is, but also keep the control measures in terms of the IP and how it's executed. Absolutely,
yeah. And I think some of that comes down to, often when you're working with creative teams within an IP or within attractions and theme parks, you're normally working with creative people who understand it, but actually, some of the key stakeholders and decision makers are maybe not quite so creative. So giving them a tool that is just so easy to kind of access and understand.
Yeah, I think it's like the translation from seeing technical drawings and flat 2Ds, and then when you stood there and you see it, people who, like you say, can't make that translation from a 2D flat drawing, a concept drawing, to a technical drawing in that environment where you're actually working and taking the UVs and the graphics and you're applying it into the reality of what they're going to see. It's like they can't not get it, and I think that design intent is really clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's a really good example, I think, of where we worked with it from the off. We want to take you through another project now, Phil. If you could go to the Tato Park one. Now, this is a project which had an existing storyline, an existing ride, but we were basically appointed to look at the queue line experience for the Viking Ride at Tato, and we worked with Fulcher Island and really immersed into the queue line experience. And this is an example of how we use 3D to demonstrate it.
Vikings, I honor your presence on this voyage to Ireland. Together, we will win the Battle of Clontarf and overthrow Brian Boru. Now is your time to learn what it takes to become a warrior. So think long, remember well, and journey far.
That was a misprojection as when you went into one of the huts. But if you want to talk through some of the bits that you can see here.
Yeah, so exciting project, and the interesting thing was, as Don said, it was an existing ride, an existing storyline, and the exciting kind of opportunity for us was to how we can enhance that using technology and using kind of different interactive touch points. And we did this through a number of ways. One of them was the misprojection, really kind of bringing to life this kind of part of the queue line where the guests go through, and this booming voice of Odin, kind of scaring people, but kind of preparing them for war, for battle. As in that space, also we did a kind of augmented reality booth that allowed people to, when they look, there's like a live camera feed that turns them into a Viking, puts like a number of kind of Viking hats and shields and things onto the guest. Quite fun and immersive. But also through the queue line, we kind of threaded kind of a deeper and more of a rich storyline, kind of really giving it more kind of authenticity, really, and some fun elements as well. Some kind of more sort of low tech interactive. So there's drums to bang, as if you're kind of preparing the kind of the war drums. There was a throne, a kind of big wooden throne that you sit in. A great kind of photo opportunity, but above it there's two animatronic ravens who kind of mildly abuse you as you walk past. Try and inspire you to give your kind of best Viking war face. And there was other things. There was horns to pull, and kind of we designed the kind of music and audio score throughout the whole queue line. ultimately, the idea is it's one of the kind of bigger rides. It's kind of the longest queues they have within the park. So essentially, people have sat there, stood there for quite a while. So they really wanted to utilise that time to immerse people, prepare them so that actually that ride experience is more quality, and they kind of have a more of a rich experience.
Yeah, and with that one, working with the client and also working with Vulture Island and going through and showing some of those ideas in the VR headset, it helped articulate what we were trying to achieve, especially within an existing space. So as well as your full end kind of projects and your larger resorts, and we can work on kind of smaller scale projects and use this technology to demonstrate on existing sites what's possible and how we can transform spaces and environments. So yeah, it's a great tool for that as well. And 3D concept when we're working in this way is just part of what we do. Concept design, insight, strategy, media, executive production from the beginning of projects through to the end. And our full design capabilities is what we work across. And we'd be delighted to speak to anyone about future opportunities working with IPs, new attractions. From concept packs through to looking at things in terms of new opportunities and pitches. We've often worked with investors and IP and looking at new opportunities and sites and seeing what's feasible and what's kind of articulating a creative vision. I think it's been really exciting when we've used VR as part of our kind of concept development process early on. We have seen investors stand up at the table and get rather excited about the vision and what's possible by using this tool. Because I think, again, it helps articulate that creative intent of a project and helps people see what's possible with a site and a location and really brings things to life. A big part of what we do is work with IPs. We work with a plethora of we've talked about that you can see on our site as well, some examples of the IPs that we've worked with. Cool. Well, we're going to be here at the Expo for the 3 days. So we're over at the booth. Either we'll be there or some of the team, so you can chat to us. So pop along. We're also sponsoring the IP and Brand Lounge, which you should be in if you're watching this. So we'll be attending that, and there's some other events and things that we're doing. Phil doing a DJ set. So if you want to grab a beer and listen to that, it's something that we're doing. So thanks for listening. Hope you found that useful. Happy to chat, and hope we'll see you all in reality in face-to-face soon at a future event. Thanks to Blooloop for putting on this event, and thanks to everybody who's tuned in and listened to us.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.